Hi everyone, I'm here to show you how to connect your Stripe data into your equals workbook. We'll start with a blank tab and then let's go to this connections section. Let's type in Stripe and you'll see I'm given two options for how I could connect to Stripe data. The first option is to use our query builder where you can select the tables, fields, apply filters, sort, etc. without needing to write any SQL, or you can go ahead and write some SQL directly. We'll go through both options in this demo. We'll start with the query builder. And for this demo, I want to look at failed payments. So I know that my failed payments live in my charge table. And let's look at my amount, when it was created, the customer ID, the invoice ID, and the ID of the charge. I'm going to look for anything that was created maybe last month. And then let's also filter on where status equals failed, which is my failed charges, and go ahead and run that. Hopefully there's not too many. Awesome. So I pulled this down. I'm actually going to resort this because I like my amount field last. So again, let's pull that down. And here I see when the failed payment was created, the customer ID, the ID of the charge, the invoice ID, and the amount. And then, of course, because this is a spreadsheet, I can just add some formulas to the end of this. So let's go ahead and calculate the month of that failed payment. Let's look at the year of that failed payment. Um, and then let's go ahead and use some of our AI features. So I want to write a formula that says if amount is greater than 10K, then prioritize, else wait. All right, so let's see what this does. Cool. We'll call that action. All right, so this is how you can look at some raw data within our query builder. The next example I want to show is a bit more complicated, but I'm going to show how to build an ARR chart using Stripe data within equals. And for that, I'm going to type Stripe in again. And this is actually quite a bit of code. So I'm actually not going to write my SQL right now. Instead, I'm going to go back and I'm going to reference what we call a saved query. So a saved query is something that we have already written as a company. It's our canonical source of truth for how we look at ARR data. And we can update this in one centralized place. So if we want to change a definition for ARR, let's update that in our saved query repository, and then that would propagate out through all the tables. So this is an example of what that looks like. This query looks at ARR by customer, and then we've done some calculations on top of it to pull out ARR across various dimensions, and I'll give you a glimpse of that. Awesome. So this is now populated. And again, you can look at, let's take a specific customer here. We look at what was the first month that they were charged. This is really interesting because if you look at the first month they were charged, you can then start to look at things like cohort analysis and net retention over time. We can also look at this from an invoice month. So, how much ARR are we getting on a monthly basis in aggregate? Customer, and then we have a number of ways that we've broken down that ARR. So gross new would be they signed up with us for the first time, expansion, contraction, churn, and restart or resurrected. There's quite a bit more fields here to help manipulate the data a bit further, but that's the general layout. So let's select this all. And then again, let's use our Command K functionality, and we're going to build out a really simple pivot table for ARR. So I'm going to add my month to my rows, and then let's start looking at gross expansion or gross new expansion, contraction, and churn. And then let's highlight this pivot table. Command K again, and then let's insert chart. All right, so what I want to build here is essentially, I want to understand my net new ARR a bit better. Let's change this to a stacked column chart. Let's call this my net new ARR summary. And then I think my labels are getting a bit in the way. So let's just take all of my labels off. Um, you know what? Let's keep my labels for my, no, take them off. Okay, cool. So this is a really powerful chart that you can look at your ARR breakdown each month. I see that obviously I had periods where there was high churn, but I have had periods where there's lots of new ARR, and things seem to have settled down in the last few months where we don't have any big churn events. So that's really great to see. The next example that I want to show is to look at that same underlying data, but do something slightly different. So instead of a pivot table here, I have built out basically just some if functionality referencing the queries that I pulled here. And I'm charting it out over looking at that invoice date and seeing how much revenue are we getting by invoice date over time. And so you can just do really nice aggregation charts with this underlying data. Also, the Stripe data, I think, is just so powerful. Okay, so let's throw this all into our spreadsheets now. So within my spreadsheet, I want to add my ARR build that I showcased once. I think I want to show a table because I think that this table is really powerful to pull out next to it. So if folks want to look at the actual numbers each month, they can go ahead and do that. And then let's also pull that second chart with ARR. And I can put these side by side and resize them. Okay, cool. So that's how you can look at ARR. I think the last thing I want to do here is I also want to look at my top failed payments. So my failed payments here, and I just want to look at the top 10 or so, at them here. Awesome. And then I just noticed that my amount fields aren't sorted in a way that I should probably have them sorted. So let's go back here, sort this large to small, go back to my dashboard, and those update. Okay, so now I think I'm ready to send out. This is a ton of Stripe information. I think I'm going to send it out on email to our finance team on a monthly basis. Thanks.